Hey guys, our guest today on the show is someone you want to listen to. Had a connection with her story, and I'm sure you will also too. Right, a story is one of a kind that tells us that no matter what we go through, God always comes through. Catch you on the other side. Hi, good to meet you. How are you doing today? Wow, it's just super to have you, Victory. I think the first time I came across you, it was in one of our services, right? The National Youth Call, service, and where I heard your testimony, right? And a whole lot of people were in that very service as we listened, to your testimony. And for me that day, it was like I got freeze, like whoa. Like, is this really what God can do? So let's start from here. It's good to have you once again. Let's meet you.
Okay, my name is Victory Salau. I'm from Niger State. I was born in ABUJA, born and bred in ABUJA. I studied law in the University of ABUJA, and I was called to the bar in the year 2021.
So right here, I'm sitting with a lawyer, right? A professional lawyer. I don't know if you want to say this on cams. If you don't want to say it, just do like this. But if you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 24. I'll be 25 this year, November.
Wow. 24. That's beautiful. That's super. And I believe you're going for your master's soon. Or what are you looking forward to do after now?
Not immediately, but I have that in view.
Okay, yeah, I know you have been called to bar.
Yes.
Well, congratulations once again for that.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Okay, so Victory, can you share with us your background?
Okay. I was born into a Christian family.
Okay.
My parents were missionaries. They are still missionaries. Yes, and growing up, I watched them sacrifice their entire life, all the pleasure and leisure that they could have if they were not in the mission field. They sacrificed that to help people grow spiritually.
So your childhood was more of your church girl.
Yes, of course, a Jesus girl.
All right, a Jesus girl. So were you in a department whilst you were growing, or were you an introvert, or you were this outspoken person whilst you were growing? What was your participation in church or in the things of God like? Can you remember any of it? Can you recall?
Okay, I was very active. I had a mix of being an introvert and an extrovert. I am a quiet person, but I also like to be outspoken. I like to air my views. So I was active as a child in the Sunday school, during my teenage years, and even my young adult years. I have been active in the things of God. In the church, I've joined a department. I'm presently in the choir.
Wow, beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, guys, after this short break, we're going to be getting into the real deal where we hear Victory, share with us a story. I tell you, you don't want to miss it. Right. A story is one of a kind that tells us that no matter what we go through, God always comes through. All right, thanks for staying tuned. And just right now, we're going to be walking in with Victory into our story, into our testimony.
My parents were newly married, and as missionaries, they left our state, Niger State, and moved to a village in the outskirts of Abuja. The village is called Dobi Village. And after a while, my mom was pregnant, and throughout the pregnancy...
Sorry, so the pregnancy happened right on the mission field?
Yes.
Right at Dobi Village?
Yes. And a longer while after the pregnancy, she encountered some health challenges. Yes, there was no quality health care system in the village. No, not even a clinic. Just some native health. They are not even health workers, like native doctors and all. So she developed a tumor in her breast, one of her breasts. It was swollen and it was always bringing out pus and water. So according to the villagers, especially those who were taking care of pregnant women, they said the only solution was to heat up a rod of iron and, push it through the breast. So
Wait,
that,
wait. Now, they were going to solve the health challenge at a tumor, did you say?
yes,
A tumor on her breast. And the only way they were going to sort that out was to heat a hot iron
yes,
and get it into her breast just to solve that.
yes,
And the only way they could even find themselves there at the first place was because they were like working for God, right? They were there on mission, on the mission field, right?
yes.
Well, please continue.
And my dad refused that it wasn't going to happen, and she was in severe pain. My mom, yes, she was in severe pain coupled with the pregnancy. And then all of a sudden, one fateful day, there were these youth corpers. Most of them were professionals. Some were doctors, some were lawyers, and they came on rural rugged evangelism. Yes, and then they met my dad and met my mom, and they were impressed to see a missionary there, and they got conversing with them, and then they found out that my mom was pregnant, and they offered to help take her out of the village into the city where she could get proper medical attention. And they brought her into town. They paid for all her medical expenses until she was due for delivery. She was even staying at I think they call it a corpers lodge. Yeah, so anytime she comes in for her antenatal, she would have to sleep at the corpers lodge. And she delivered me at the Wuse General Hospital. That was in 1996, November 1996. Yes, and that was the story. That is the story. Yes.
Wow, what a touching story. You know what? I could really connect. And you say this happened just 1995, between 1995 and 1996. So as a then professional corps members, they came in for the rural rugged. Now, guys, rural rugged is a major part of the Nccf, Nigerian Christian Corpers Fellowship, right, all across Nigeria, where youth corps members go for evangelism, go for reach out, right, into rural areas, places whereby even the government might have not reached, most times have not gotten into. And these youth corps members actually go into the spaces with the gospel of Christ, and not just with the gospel of Christ, they also go there with, some good stuffs to share with the people, material stuffs to share with the people. And in that coming to that into that rural rugged space, that was when they encountered your parents, right? And just with that encounter, it's so exciting how you say that they were professionals there, right? So they came with the gospel of Christ, right? But yet they were not just spiritual people. They were also, they made sense professionally. Yes. They were practical. They made sense physically, right? They could also give help physically. I think that's exciting. Now, I just want you, was there a point, at what point did you hear the story? What point were you told the story?
I think I was in the university already. I'd always heard the story while I was growing up, but the full story, I got to understand the depth of it when I was in the university.
All right. How are your parents now?
They're fine. They're in their 50s.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, they just celebrated their wedding, 26 years wedding anniversary.
Whoa,
yes, in December last year.
Beautiful. So that means are you the firstborn?
Yes, I am.
Wow. So after you, Mama had a couple of other children.
Yes, I have 4 siblings.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, we are 4 girls and a boy.
Wow.
4 girls and
now,
a boy.
Considering your story, how not palatable, it was right there. Do you think you are a mistake?
No, absolutely not. I think I'm a miracle. I think God had something in mind when He decided that I should come through into this world, and nothing was going to stop Him. Nothing was going to stop His plan, not even the poor medical conditions. Yes.
Wow. Well, I love that. Not even the poor medical conditions. And of course, I think I've met you for some months, right? Is it up to, yeah? And I can actually testify that you are a miracle. You are actually touching lives. I know you are an advantage. You have been an advantage, even just knowing you, right? So with proofs, you are a miracle, right? So what will you say to someone out there that has not a very good background? And there's this saying that it's necessary that we do not decide our backgrounds really, but we decide what happened from our background henceforth, right? So what would you say to someone out there that feels that the reason why he must still be on the ground or she must still be on the ground is because of her background? My background is not too good, and the person is thinking, I don't think I'm meant for the top, right? What would you say to such person?
I would say that your background is what you make of it. Yes, you cannot decide what family you come from, what kind of profession they would be involved in, but you can decide how your life will turn out and the life of the generations after you. So nothing can stop you except yourself. Nothing can actually stop you except you decide to stop yourself. You have too much power over your life than the situations or the circumstances surrounding your birth or your growing up.
A story is one of a kind that tells us that no matter what we go through, God always comes through. At some point, did you engage your mama about her, if she ever lost hope at those times? Did she ever think that God was going to come through for her?
When I spoke with her about it, I could understand that she was going through a lot of pain. So at some point, she thought she was going to die, but she didn't lose hope because my dad was always there to give her the right encouragement. And even after that, other experiences we've had while growing up, I can see her faith being built up. So she has actually been a woman of faith, even in situations that are very daunting. Yes.
Wow. So that tells us, that even in these dark times, Jesus always comes through for us, just like he came through for your parents with, core members, right? That's beautiful. So now, Victory, do you think you are fulfilling purpose right now?
I believe strongly in my heart that my life itself is very purposeful, and every experience I've had is a message for someone out there. And this is just one of the many experiences that is fulfilling God's purpose. So I believe that I am actually fulfilling God's purpose. Yes.
Now, Victory, what would you say to NCCF, Nigerian Christian Corpers Fellowship?
I would say to NCCF that NCCF is something after the heart of God, because even if I am the only person who has been affected by the activities of NCCF, then it's something to be boastful about. It's something to be proud of. I'm so proud of NCCF because I know that this is just the beginning of great things in my life, and whatever comes out of it, I can never forget that my birth is tied to those corpers who allow themselves to be used by God. And I'm not the only one. I know there are several other people who are alive today who have been saved from death, who have been saved from spiritual death because of their encounter with NCCF. So NCCF is doing God's will. NCCF is God's will.
And it just strikes my mind as you talk again. It's not even about just the people that God has been so gracious through NCCF, but it's also beautiful that in about 24 years ago we had professionals among these core members, right? As we call Jesus Corpers, right? We had professionals. Now imagine how many professionals we would have had since 24 years ago until now. Right? And now you are a professional also. I'm a professional, yeah? And right, we have the mind of Christ.
Yes.
And I think, imagine if we can do these things at this level and stage of our lives. I think these are the kind of people that God truly needs to drive a society. You are a professional, and you have the mind of Christ in you, right? It's just so beautiful. So as we round up, I don't know if you know the song, NCCF shall never die. You know it? Oh my God, I need to teach you now. Okay, let me teach you. You say, NCCF shall never die. Hallelujah. NCCF will never die. Hallelujah. Okay, let's do it together. NCCF will never die. Hallelujah. NCCF will never die. Hallelujah. Wow, it's so nice to have you, Victory, on the show today. And I truly believe it was a very worthy interview. Thank you so much for being with us. All right.
Did you see how it's on cover? Smile. And meets GMD.
Papa is here with us and he's a superhero. Let's point to Daddy. So Victoria told us that while Mama was down, Daddy kept encouraging her. You know, I didn't want to ask you that question, but I was just like, that means we must not get it wrong in marriage also. Yeah. Wow. Go, sir. Go, sir. Go, sir.